So today I'm going to be sat with James, who when he came to me, he was stuck at around 6K per month and really struggling to climb the leaderboard on his offer. Fast forward, James has become a top performer on his new account and he's hitting consistent 12 to 13K months with the skills and with the learnings that he's taken from Born to Close. But going further than the income, because income isn't the most important thing, he has removed the constant pressure around finances, built unshakable confidence that allows him to show up on any offer and any call and close deals, and has become the type of person who actually strives in this saturated, high ticket sales, competitive environment. In this conversation, you'll get a behind the scenes look at exactly what goes into what we teach here at Born to Close to help people like James and potentially people like you actually get the outcomes they desire. Let's jump in. So as I just mentioned, we're here with James today. James was one of my students quite a while back, but he's recently been killing it. So James, could you give a little bit of an intro on who you are, what you sell, all that good stuff, please?
Yeah, so I started with Dan about 9 months ago, I think it was, one of the first fitness sales. At that time, I was selling on VShred, a fitness offer, and I was doing okay. I was around number 30 on the leaderboard or so, and really, really grinding, like working super, super hard to get about 6K in commissions. But then obviously joined yours and got up over the 10K. Now I've gone on to another offer, which I found through you guys, obviously. And that's on like a finance, like mergers and acquisitions offer, which has been super good because it's suitable to my old finance background as well.
Good stuff. Yeah, I remember it was when we had a guest and then he liked you, right? And then he gave you a role or gave you an interview for a role.
Yeah, exactly right. So we had that get the recruiting,
Yeah.
and then I sent him like a Loom video, things like that. Just kind of went from there, and he introduced me to the role, which has been awesome so far. Yeah.
Yeah. What was I know you mentioned that you was on the same fitness offer as me. You was around 30th, making like 5, 6, 7K a month. If you could give a bit more of an in-depth overview of what your situation was before joining, like what was life like with sales and financially as well?
So basically, before joining, as you say, I was doing okay. Like I was making 6K, sometimes even almost the 7K a month at VShred. But in order to get there, I was playing the volume game. Like I was having to do like so many calls, so many hours, and I didn't really have much of a life. I was working probably often 7 days a week, to be honest. So yeah, I'm able to do that. I can work hard, but obviously that's not sustainable. So I was kind of like stuck in a bit of a loop where in order to make hit the income goals, I was just spinning the wheel and having to do heaps of volume. And I was having the long-term thoughts as well of like, can I do this forever? I'm gonna have to be more economical with my time somehow.
Mm.
And so I was chatting to friends about it, one of our mutual friends actually, and I was like, and he was just saying to me, look, you're going to have to improve your skill set if you want to work less and make more. It's as simple as that, you know? And then at that time, like when I was working at VShred, I saw you climb up the leaderboard. I didn't know you at that time, obviously, but I just saw that you joined after I did, and you like climbed all the way up like into the top, I think 3 or 4 or something, or two even.
Yeah, yeah.
And then when my friend told me that you were doing your own coaching, I was like, well, it makes sense for me to look into that because you're on the exact offer that I'm on and you've just like shot up, which is exactly what I wanted to do. So
I know we had a mutual friend that actually referred you to me.
yes.
Was there any skepticism or no? Because I was on the same offer doing, I guess, the results you.
I guess there was a little bit of skepticism. I wouldn't say there was heaps of skepticism because I saw your results, you know. I think that's always the thing with people looking at coaches and stuff. They're like, oh, are they legit? Are they getting results? But for me, I knew you were getting the results that I wanted because you were there on the leaderboard. You were doing like less calls than me and making like way more, like I don't know, 3, 4, 5 times more. Your close rate was, I think, like 50% or something, or maybe, yeah, something around there. And I was at 20%. So, yeah, I guess the only skepticism, of course, is like, okay, he's getting the results, but can he actually coach it, you know? So I did watch a few of your calls, like as I was considering it as well. And I could see your style was like quite different to most people's style. Like it was more, in a few ways, it was like very calm, like quite mellow energy, but
Yeah.
also like very challenging, like calling the prospect out a lot. in a loving way, which I think which I think in fitness is really important. Like rather than that was a huge thing I learned from you. Like rather than kind of sell the program a lot, like oh this is what you've been missing the whole time. It's like yes, obviously believe in the program, but ultimately like be that mirror to the prospect, like help them to realize that the reason they haven't lost the weight or whatever the outcome is because of something about them, which is a much more challenging conversation. It's like a more difficult conversation, but it's more effective and helps the prospect more.
More efficient and yeah, helps them way more, which is why we're here, why we get paid.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
that's good that you learned that. But what would you say the most significant changes in your sales career since joining and learning from me?
So on V-Shred, I got up to number 8, and one of the months my close rate was around 40%. So that's a double increase. There's no way I would have been able to do that without your help. I mean, I was basically just at that 20, sometimes 25% for like a long time, for like months.
Yeah.
So shot up to the 40 and and made I think a 10K month at V-Shred, I think it was. And then obviously I went to another role which I found through you guys as well. So now that's changed a lot because now I'm in a role, first of all, that's very suitable to my background because I have a finance background. But in this particular role, what's happened is that I kind of came on and it was quite a new offer. And
Mm,
so and they had quite a few different sales guys on. Like I was on at the start with about 5 other guys.
yeah.
Um, and it kind of just fell like dominoes, like step
Yeah.
by step, every guy just dropped off. They either quit or got fired or whatever, because it was quite a difficult offer at the start to close. So I was really the only one that survived that was closing. I wasn't closing like 40% or anything like that. It was still a grind because it was a new offer.
Yeah.
But but the reality is because I had those skills, the business owner basically said after a while, look, James, we're just going to put all our eggs in one basket and you're going to be the only closer.
Mm,
Because we can see that you have the skills, you know how to get into they mentioned the pain point as well, that you know how to get into the pain of the prospect, which is something I learned a lot from you, like
yeah.
painting the picture of the pain. So the business owners noticed that in me and they went just kind of all in. So I was the only closer for like over 2 months, which, yeah, obviously was a little bit tough in a way because it puts a lot of pressure on you.
Yeah.
But long term, that's been fantastic for me because now I was able to make closes and get the business going, and now they're hiring other closers,
Nice.
including from your program a bit.
Yeah.
And so now it's worked out really well for me because there's other closers, but I'm treated best, if that makes sense, because I'm the OG.
Top dog.
Top dog, as you say.
Dog mate.
Um,
Okay. Cool. Yeah, because I know I was meant to do this interview with you a while back because you messaged me saying you hit like 12, 13K comms. Is that right?
yeah, 11 actually was with this one.
Okay.
Having said that, it has this one is a little bit different because it's not just about the like upfront comms that you get in the short
Yeah.
term. It's actually got long term because it's M&A. So like they bring the businesses in, but once they actually sell the businesses, they get commission on the back end. So yeah, this one has massive potential. There's not much point in me saying that the actual numbers potential because it's all
Yeah.
potential at the moment. Depends on the businesses that get sold. But what I can say is that a few really positive things have happened, like getting a base income, which is quite rare in the sales space. So that gives me a lot of security. And also they've recognized the quality of my sales and my work, and they've moved me also into the implementation, which is super cool because yeah, that's been a big goal for me as well. Because I think like a lot of people don't necessarily want to be just on sales calls my whole life. I want to have more strings to the bow, so to speak. So I've been doing the sales, but also the implementation. So in other words, like making the deals happen between the businesses.
Yeah, that's solid. So you've seen like a progression ladder from it. I know that me and you sell kind of different, but obviously the way I teach is more like principle based. But I did say to you last time we recorded this, 'cause obviously this is a refilm, that I knew you'd be successful because like your confidence, your internal work was, in my opinion, very dialed, and all I really needed to do was like broaden your perspective on skills. So how would you
Appreciate
say that? How would you say that Born to Close slash FSA, I guess, moved the needle the most for you, and what made it unique to the other programs you've done?
Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, yeah, that's probably right. Like I have done a lot of internal work and yeah, I do have quite good confidence. But yeah, Born to Close or FSA massively moved the needle forward in terms of a combination of skills and mindset. I'd say a couple of things. One was the pain, so getting into the pain of the prospect in a way that doesn't seem salesy. That was huge for me. That's in fact that's even more important in my current role
Yeah.
because in my current role it's more corporate, so you can't. It's like not really socially calibrated to kind of like talk about their pain in any kind of salesy way. So you have to do it in like a very natural, like human way, which
Yeah.
is what I learned from you a lot. Like the whole mindset of like just being curious about the prospect, like when you hear a bit of their pain, like in my case, oh, they're stressed about their business. Oh, okay, so like, how are you stressed? What's that like for you? Like you just have a natural conversation with them. That's been a massive thing for me. And then the second thing is the just the frame of the conversations, like as we were saying, it's not like with fitness, for example, rather than trying to frame the conversation like, oh, we have the magic pill solution kind of thing. You just haven't had the right solution. It's like maintaining the frame of you're holding them to a higher standard, and like keeping the frame of the call as like having that authority, but also having that genuine care for them. Yeah, that massively moved the needle forward. I think before FSA, it's like I obviously I knew how to go into the pain and things like that because I'd learned that in other sales, but I think I hadn't learnt it in a way that was like very human and very authentic.
Mm.
And so that really changed the game. Like I remember a couple of calls at V-Shred, which I shared with the group, was like the prospect was like so thankful after the call because they felt very understood. And yeah, that was like, really rewarding. And that's flowed over into the current role as well because there's like a kind of I'm able to sell in a very natural, genuine way.
Mm. Okay, nice. Yeah, that makes sense. So, what would you say, James, to anyone on the fence of Born to Close? Just out of curiosity.
One thing I'd say, I think we've spoken about this before, is like, I think we got to realize now there's so many salespeople coming. It's a bit of a saturated market now. So I was in that position where I was like number 30 at V-Shred, which is like okay. There's over 100, so it's like okay, it's decent. But if you're in that kind of middle, if you're like a middle tier salesperson, like life's pretty tough, if you're lucky enough to have a role, you gotta like grind, grind, grind to get decent living. Whereas if you get into the top percentage points, maybe the top 5%, 10%, depends on the numbers, your life is just much better because you get much higher, your hourly rate, so to speak, is just much higher because your skills have gotten to that point where you're able to make a lot more money per call. And what I'm experiencing now is this shift from like, rather than just being a normal salesperson, you're like looked at by the business owner as like a needed resource. Like they need you, so they treat you much better. They give you much better benefits because you're in that top percentage. So that's a big thing I'd say. You got to get into those top percentages, regardless of what you do. And yeah, I would, and like Born to Close, in my opinion, was the one thing that kind of pushed the needle forward. Like I tried a lot of other sales training before, and it was good, but this pushed the needle to go from like mid tier to top tier, and it was able to do it because I think that you think really deeply. That's like a personal characteristic that you have. You have like very deep thoughts,
Mm.
and you're able to bring that to sales. So you kind of taught me and taught everyone else to like think very deeply about the sales process.
Yeah,
And most salespeople haven't done that, so they're kind of stuck in the mid tier. But if you get to a deep understanding of it,
yeah,
it's like you become an expert, so you become much more needed by business owners.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's very good. Good stuff. Okay, mate. Well, I appreciate you jumping on with me. Enjoy your weekend. And
Thanks, brother.
what's I guess on the horizon for James, do you think?
Yeah, good. So I'm very optimistic about it now. Like I'll stay, as I say, this role has long-term impacts. So I'm gonna stay in this role for probably quite a while because I'm quite embedded there now. So yeah, much higher commissions are coming. Much higher commissions, but also like a big contrast from being on the hamster wheel of just sales call after sales call after sales call to being like leverage the time much better. So that's yeah, that's exciting.
Good
So
stuff.
yeah, appreciate you, man.
All right, mate. Cool. Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Bye bye.